right, you primitive screwheads, listen up. See this? This is my boomstick.
Okay, welcome. We're gonna do some more working on haunts. I think last time we were working mostly on this thing, right? Making sure debug.given a texture was working. Let's verify that that's actually correct. Debug texture test. I guess it wasn't so much given a texture, so much as like all the texture helpers. I think we're happy. Yeah. So let's change this to update haunts. Use new glop. Right? If we don't use it from haunts, we won't end up using it. Right? We made it. We should use it. So go.mod is saying we're using 14DC52. 14DC52. Okay, so we're already using that one. So we just need to make it work. Easier said than done. Oh, the other thing. Yeah, okay. So cobweb rejection.ping house test data cobweb 0 rejection. So one of the things we learned last time was that having this like black background actually makes sense because we're taking like a debug screenshot, reading the pixels off of the display, and so you can't read a clear pixel. That's why they're black. Yeah, but it is still left to right mirrored, which is wrong. So let's work to fix that. What have we changed right now? What is this jazz? I don't like that. Why is it like that? When did it become 122? Hold on. That shouldn't have happened. Pain in the butt. Why? Did we import something that updated this? Like, or did we run something that? Hold on. Okay, so I'm gonna say that that was a broken change. It already got pushed to main. We'll just have to undo it at some point. Pain in the butt. Then to do. Bug. Number 8. I mean, if it's not breaking anything, let's embrace the accidental improvement. uh, like, yeah, let's not worry too much about that. But let us actually worry about um, making this test passed. Alright. So it got mirrored left to right. Now, one of the problems, I think, is that, yeah, Haunts has a way to do textures, and Glop has a way to do textures, and they aren't the same. So I'm looking at this. The bottom left in texture space, good. Bottom left in coordinate space. Now, these vertices don't seem to be the right dimensions. It should be like the width and height of the window. Which is odd. But let's see where this is used. When we hold on. This keeps coming up again and again. Vim, run last X command. Add. Okay. Texture list. It's at colon, which makes sense to me. When we call render on these call render? Yes. Okay, so there's two things we need to do. We need to use the glop version of textures, and we need to fix the left to right stuff. Let's fix the right to left stuff, and then use glop's version. The using glop's version is a big refactor, and I don't want red tests while I'm refactoring. Okay. Let's update our to-do to help us remember. Okay, it's using the new glop, good. That's okay. Loaded texture is flipped left to right. We need to fix that. And then we should... I'm trying to decide like how to nest these things. We should really use glop's textures, not a copy once. Okay. So now, there seems to be a problem with when it renders. Render. Okay, so they're building up this like transform matrix. Is the transform matrix correct? Translate by x, y, and then translate dx over 2, dy by 2. Apply any rotation. What is this nonsense? dx2 is going to be the texture's width divided by 100 and then divided by 2. Why divided by 100? Where are my logs? Render advanced. So we're saying, hey Cobweb, go to x0, don't rotate, don't flip, you're not temporary. Why are these a thing? Like, wall texture X is 0, and then we subtract off 1 and a bit. And we say 2 times dx2. Or how wide it is. So scale the texture down by 100, but move it to be zeroed. Is that what they're trying to say? What should it say? It should say wt texture.data.render advanced wt.x wt.y data dx data dy. Should it not? We call render advanced twice. Okay. We call it here with 0, 0, width and height, rotate it by pi, not temporary. We also seem to have shaders duplicated in-house in haunts instead of using the glop ones. Wait. So I'm just trying to find all the instances here. Wall texture, furniture, and manager. Wall texture. Furniture. And manager. So whenever you tell a furniture to render, it calls render advanced. Whenever you tell wall texture to render, it calls render advanced. On the texture data. Render advanced only seems to be defined on the texture and the texture data. The calling it on the texture just forwards it to the texture data render. Okay. So this is saying rendered at 0, 0 width and height. The bottom left should be 0, 0. Make it wide and high as told. This is saying just for the parameters, and so this is saying x and y, width and height. Why is this not width? Why is this not x, y, width, height? I still want to log it, but you don't need to multiply it by 2. So we have dx dy, width and height. Like, what happens then? Nada. Okay. But that's what it should do. Like sorry. But that's what we should pass in. Okay. So render advanced is like after we bound the texture that we care about. Render it. Yeah. Okay. So volume.debug run. We'll get a print of that, right? I hope. Yeah, okay. So that's wrong. This is column major order, I believe. So go left 266 pixels. No. Like x and y, or sorry, this is flip x by negative 266. So stretch it right by a scale of 266 and then flip it. So that's wrong. Ooh. What's the matrix that it should be? It should be something like it should send the vertices to the right positions. Now we're loading a identity projection matrix, so the correct geometry in this case should be -1, -1 to +1, +1. But x and y are in terms of the screen coordinates. So we can't just do this. We need to keep the projection matrix intact. We don't want to load identity. We just want to mult it. Maybe. And really at this point, why is it? Okay. So if flip it, then go left and down. Multiply, scale it dx by and dy. This should be a positive, and this should be a negative. Oh, and this should be, we move left. This is like move right and then flip it over by doing -dx. This is move left and then splat it across a width of dx. Okay, this is much better. Sorry. I'm not trying to blur it. See, this is very blurry. And this is not. Or, well, I guess it's kind of blurry. You see less of the blur. It looks less blurry because it's got a opaque background. Okay, so now the test needs to remember that we're going to get a screenshot. So although there's transparent texels in the texture, they will end up inheriting the back. They will be opaque and have the background color. When we screenshot. So really we need to compare against not this directly, but against this drawn over top of the same background color. Okay. Now, should render test should look like file support transparencies? Yes, that's the way to fix this. Okay. So I think we just fixed this. Render test dot, what do we call it? Should look like file. Should know to screenshots are opaque, hence expectation files need to be composited. Composited? Composited. Need to be drawn on top of a background, an opaque background. Yeah. Okay, let's do that. So let's make a test for comp. Transparency isn't mentioned in here. Yeah. So we can test comparing pings against pings. We can test compare with threshold. Pixel comparison needs to be fuzzy. But we should also test compare transparent expectations. When you're testing T. Right? T.run transparent results should exactly match transparent expectations. This is more of a convey statement. Transparent result versus transparent expectation. LHS is png dot decode. Do we have like give enough image? Must load image? Must load image. We put it in texture test. We're going to want it somewhere in general. I'm thinking render test because I'm thinking render test because it's a test helper when we're doing rendering. Okay, so the first thing to do, let's revert. Kind of. I don't want to forget that I'm doing this. I hate stashing because it I always forget that a stash exists and then I make changes and whatever's in the stash gets really stale. I guess the thing to do would be to branch, right? Git commit dash and whip test transparent expectations. Right, and then leave a branch behind. Undo that commit. Should be green, yeah. And then I want to do a refactor to expose the must load image helper from the right spot. So I wanted it in render test. thinking like, do I also want the image manip in there? Nah, because I want image manip to be around in production, not just in testing. So this is package render test, and it's going to have that. So texture test, must load image. You become this, but you need to get exported. We're gonna organize imports. We didn't have a test for you, did we? This is render test. Okay, that is that refactor. Refactor expose the must load image helper. We'll use the word export because that's what it means in Golang. In Golang, having a function that you can reference from other packages is called exporting. This was a refactor. Did I scuff that commit message? No, that's good. All right, so then now we check out whip and we rebase against main, and then undo the commit again. Good. So now we're back to adding a red test. No, in render test comp test. See, this is why I saved it in my saved a commit with it, because I was gonna forget where to put it. But this tells me exactly where. Okay, so this is in render test must load image. So we're gonna load checker, because that's our like pre-baked image with what do you call it? Transparency. So we're gonna load test data slash whatever. So test data checker 0.png, right? And then the right hand side is let's load image, the same one. And then comp it must be exactly equal. Images are within threshold, maybe? So that'll be green. Oh. This is like result. Result should be true. Yeah, okay. This is actually in the here. This isn't about the API being ergonomic. I'm just like, I don't want to refactor during a red step. Let's just add a red test and then we'll refactor to clean up later. Yeah. Test. Compare transparent expectations, yeah. So this should be green. We need to add more test. T.run transparent rendering. Transparent. An opaque result versus a transparent expectation. This is like what am I thinking? This is with transparency. This is expectation. Expected image. And then opaque is actually draw. To opaque. Opaque has to be its own thing. New RGBA. Draw to opaque. Expected image dot bounds. And this needs a rectangle, right? Expected image dot bounds. The source will be with actually it's got to be a certain background color, right? Testing background is image dot new uniform of color dot color dot RGBA color dot new RGBA. Oh, they don't have it. I remember last time I got in trouble because why did I get in trouble? Because I was using the wrong type. But R should be 255. G can be 0. B can be 0. Alpha needs to be 255. Full red, full transparent, fully opaque, and no green or blue. Actually, there's red in the checker already, so we'll use a blue background. Blue background or green background? No, let's use blue. Doesn't really need to be any. It just needs to be. Use a background image. Use a background color that doesn't exist in the checkerboard. image. Right? And then with transparency, it's just the raw load. The expected image should be the raw load. An opaque version should be a new RGBA of the right size where we image.new uniform of testing background and image.point, just the raw one, and then this is just use the source. Just set it equal to whatever the source is. And then we need to also draw to opaque expected image bounds from the expected image. Again, using the default point, but use draw dot over. And then with transparency should not match opaque. Even if we give it 5 pixels difference. But I want to say like render test dot images are within, or should look like file, really. See, we're going to need to draw the image in GL, right? The render queue this is going to be a convey result, which is going to be an empty string on pass and a non-empty string on fail. Should look like file, the queue, and opaque. With a threshold of 3. With GL for test, give it a 64 by 64 system. Queue is a render queue interface. So with a GL instance, we ought to be able to gl.clear color RGB clear, and then we need to like draw the texture, right? Debug texture test. Debug texture. Debug texture test. We did a thing where it was like split on blue. Yeah, we already did this. I'm just thinking, like, how are we going to organize this so that it makes sense? Let's rewrite this test to be easier to read and maybe a convey test. Maybe just easier to read first. Alright, so render test dot should look like file. Should work out of the box when the expectation file has transparent pixels. This means, what does it mean? Render test dot should look like file. The render queue should look like what's in test data? Checker. Should look like checker. After we draw a checker. Right? So some convey result is that, and I don't think we can do this, but we can try. This has to be a system. Then we should probably use the convey result, right? So, it's fine to fail tests from within this, right? I think, yeah. Let's say it is. If it isn't, we'll have to fix that. So the queue should look like the checker. If convey result not equal to success, convey success is actually the empty string. Then t dot fatal. Should look like thought. Should look like returned mismatch. Then we just include the error string from convey. From should look like. So I expect this to fail right now. Partly because the screen will be black, and so we'll be comparing black against a checkerboard pattern. Let's verify it, though. Right? Oh, oops. Should look like should look like file. This is why you test incrementally, because you want to make sure you're testing the right thing. Test data inside of render test data, checker, all the checkers. So we expect to see with opacity we got just a black screen. So that's not the failure we're expecting, because we need to first draw the checker texture, right? So it's like draw. We have the helper here. Blit onto. We should blit onto blue. The image. With GL for test, with a clear color, draw the texture to quad, and take the screenshot. Yeah. It's this, and we'll have to refactor later. So QQ. We might need to include some helpers from here in the debug package, which is fine. Like given a texture. I think this is important to have as a reusable piece of the debug package. Trying to think if is there a clean way to expose this. Can we import other test packages? Debug test. Give it a texture. We can't just import debug test, right? Yeah, I don't think we have it. So, we can't just move it here. We gotta move it to debug.given a texture. And that's fine. It's really debug testing, isn't it? Oh, man. Okay. Tabby, debug testing. Hold on. Where does such a utility belong? I'm trying to remember what other directory structures I have. Yeah, like this is useful for folks who want to write tests that have caches. So like downstream project uses the cache package, but it wants to write tests. So it uses cache test. Downstream package wants to use debug, but it wants to write tests. That's what debug test would be. Yeah, we want to use render test wants to use debug. And so we want to use testing utilities associated with debug. Okay. Debut test. Okay, so here we're gonna need this guy. This is package debug test. We'll organize our imports here, and we'll organize our imports here. We'll see if it builds. Seems to build. Texture test. 196. Yes, this is in debug test, given a texture. Import it, please. Debug test. Organize imports, yeah. Okay. Now, with clear color, that's render testy stuff. Let's move that to render test. Yeah. With clear color. Render test. Colors. With clear color. This is a render test with clear color. You get to be exported, and then we will organize our imports. Comp test needs to say render test with clear color. Draw textured quad. That should be... See, this is a refactor right now for... What is a refactor? Because we should just pretend like this file doesn't exist for the next commit. Alright. Hold. Draw textured quad. This should be debug test. Draw textured quad. Yeah, we should debug screenshot the RGBA. 64 by 64. And then yeah. Result image is image. The expected image must load image. Checker 0 PNG. This is in render test, I believe. And debug test needs to export that. Result is a thing that we need to declare. Result is a string. This is really a convey result, right? Render test should look like file. No, we don't do the check here. Yeah. Draw a textured quad needs to go live in an exposed area. Debug, debug, test. Texture is a good spot for it. You get exposed. And we organize the imports with shader progs. This is more of a render test thing. So we will move it to there. Tabby render test shaders, I think. Package render test with shaders. Organize my imports, please. Thank you, thank you. With shaders. With shader progs. This is render test with shader progs. That one. Then debug vertex shader and debug fragment shader should be here. We're just moving things around. Texture test doesn't need to import GL. Wow. Oh, this is debug test. Maybe it shouldn't be debug test. It should be render test. So I think this is who's logging the version string? Log printf version string. Okay. Anyways, what are we doing here? Yeah, in general, the printfs here shouldn't happen. Okay, so now if we did a thing like look at our diff and say, actually, we're not really gonna be adding this test. Right? Yeah. Okay. So if we think about it, render test comp test.go shouldn't change in this refactoring commit. And right now on disk, the only thing that's changed is we've added a comment to the end of the file, so it shouldn't affect any of the test runs. So adding debug texture test, debug test, render test colors, render test shaders should work. Make clean rejects. Oh, yeah. That bit us the other day too. Maybe we need to fix that. I think I do need to fix that. Partly... Do we? We didn't log a bug about it. This is broken right now. There's no global test data directory anymore. There's
Hail to the king, baby.
multiple test data directories now. Okay, this commit is really just about moving things and exporting them, okay? Refactor, export helpers for texture testing. Render test shaders. Commit. And then add makefile, okay, commit docs, make note of broken makefile recipe. This begs the question, should we have tests for our makefile recipes? But we'll leave that as a question for now. I will be right back. let's fix this this makefile recipe right now. As this, same as this one. And this one, really. That'll fail too. Alright, so the test report tar can be instead test report tar gz. We use it there. The directory should be other. And tar directory. Yeah, we don't need to do that. And then files from something. List rejects should be find here. Name is test data. Type is D. Pipe through while read I do echo I done. Find there dash name star dot rejection. Right? I think it's that. Yep. Then if we touch an example failure, checker 0 pin rejection. Huh? Shouldn't it be like... Let's echo the commands here. Find dash name test data dash type D. Pipe through while read I. Do find dash... Oh. Find I. There we go. So what was happening was $I was like... Makefile was like, there's no I variable, so that's the empty string. And so it's just find dash name star dot rejection. This says find $I, which is that variable in the shell. Okay. Cool. We have to do the same thing here. Except we'll just do that. And then for each of these, we need to exec rm plus. Right? So if we do a make clean rejects, find directories of type test data. For each of them, find in those anything with star.reg and then remove them. Yeah. And then here's a fun one. find directories of type test data, pipe through while read, test data do, find, oops, in test data something named and this should really be like a quote, right? If we're gonna be expanding things, we should put it in a quote that we expect if we expect it to be exactly one thing. Okay, so yeah. Now the null glob here was Y. Also, should be a string as well. We want these to be strings in case there's spaces in the test, pardon me, spaces in the file paths. Now, I don't want files with spaces in them, but I certainly don't want things to break if somebody adds that. So the @ sign means don't echo the command, but then shopt-s null glob. So that's saying when you do a shell glob, Bash allows patterns with match no files to expand to a null string rather than themselves. Okay, yeah. But we are not using any globs. So we don't need it. This is gonna be the fun one. I think we do that. We just find all the rejection files. It shouldn't be rejection star though. Find everything that's a .rej and then put it in the tarball and then put in the thing that doesn't have that in the tarball. We should also I think that's good enough, actually. We might lose a layer of quoting through the reading of this subcommand, but I'm gonna say it doesn't matter. Okay, so what do? We changed test data report tar.gz to be test report.tar.gz. We said don't look in test data, we said look in all the test datas. And then similarly look in all the test datas. We don't need a null glob anymore. Look in all the test datas. And don't go to test data, but do look for all rejections, whether they're in test data or not. Okay. Not in it. Good. And then if we touch render test data checker 0.reg and make test report again, succeeded, and it's got render test data checker 0.png reg. Good. What I want to do is test the making the promotions. So if I copy that to if I make the .reg file a copy of the original, they're the same file. The same contents, I should say. 1 of 2. 2 of 2. They're the same. Okay. Which means if I do a make promote rejections, crap. Why are these committed? Why does list rejects not find that? Oh, it's .reg.ping, isn't it? I need to say... Okay, yeah. I do need to say .star reg and then not a dot. Yeah. So this says reg and then not a dot, reg not a dot or an E. Or an F. That's fine, that's fine. That's fine. Cool. I think that's better. So now if we do a make list rejects, there's some rejections there. What? that does look different. Can we clean the rejects? Good. Let's make sure that they get included in the test report. Yeah. There's a dry run for make. Just print. Make -n promote rejects. This is what I should have ran instead of. Oh. I mean, yeah, no, that makes sense. It won't like recurse in to say that it will only want to move it. Okay. Yep. So those got removed and that got changed, but we're gonna check them out. And then I'm gonna clean rejects. And I'm gonna make test. Yeah. Okay. So first of all, what's the easiest way to add a commit that removes those? Arm GUI test data text lol 3 reg. Some edit text 0 reg. Some text 0 reg. Clean. Remove some projection files that shouldn't have been committed to start with. Sure. Now make clean make test report tar tf test report good. Make file changed to do this stuff. There's no to-dos in the make file. Good. Fix for the tools. That's a tool and change, but it's actually a fix. Update make file with new multi-test data directory layout. Like this begs the, sorry, it's not begs the question. That's not the actual begs the question. This is, yeah. People use it the wrong way. But this makes me think of, should we have tests for our makefile? Yes. Are we going to do it right now? No. Later? Maybe. Probably not. For now, let's go back to the red phase and get this red test added. Okay, so the test failed. We have our .rejection file. We expected this, we got that. We got the right thing. It's just we really need a way to actually get this guy to deal with that thing's transparent. Why would you check against it directly? Okay, so I'm going to clean. This is a valid red test, so we'll commit test. Render test should look like file, should be aware of expectation files that might have transparent pixels. We should probably add the thing before we try to commit. Alright, let's screen it. So, should look like file. You should realize when we're checking the back buffer, that you actually need to say when screenshotting, we only read opaque pixels. If the expectation file has transparent portions, we need to not compare those pixels. Put another way, we need to compare with a mask. Image should look like wait a minute, what? This is wrong. Expect pixels match should really be like images are within threshold, should realize that the expected could have transparencies. Okay, here's where it is. So I'm thinking about the draw package in Golang and trying to think, is using a mask the way to do this? if we look at the how to use this package blog post, there's this mask here, right? Yeah. The source rectangle is equal to r, translated to r.min. Yeah. Okay. So the shape is the same, but the bottom left, or I guess they're saying the top left, is different. So what do we want here? We want the mask to be full. No, I'm thinking about like if the expectation file has 3 pixels, an opaque pixel, a transparent pixel, and a like half opaque, like a partially transparent pixel. Is there a mask to do the comparison with? Or is it that we need to know what the background is? We can do like a get the clear color, make a uniform image of that color, compose the expected image on top of that background, and make sure they match. I'm just thinking like, let's say you had a white pixel with half transparency, like half alpha. It would depend on what the clear color is. Whatever the clear color is, that will affect this pixel in the screenshot. In the expected image, it's going to be a gray. One problem with like draw the expected image over top of a continuous background is we need to know what the background is. We need to be able to pick a background that's appropriate. Can we in general use the clear color from OpenGL as the background? If the clear color was not usable, what is the case in which the clear color is not usable? Can we find a case where the clear color is not the correct choice? That would mean that there's a pixel in the screenshot that's not just the background, but is not represented in the expected image. That means something was drawn there, but it shouldn't have been drawn there according to the expected image. So no, I think the using the background to, and then, you know, composing the expected file on top of the background color should be okay. Draw as RGBA with background. Yeah. Get the clear color. This doesn't do any GL interaction, right? No, it doesn't. So images are within. Needs another, you know, like a background. Background color is a color. Yeah. With the background. So what's really ret is new image dot new RGBA of the given bounds. And then we do a draw to ret the whole thing from an image dot new uniform of the background. You know, default point, use the source pixel. Please organize imports. So first set the background, then draw into the result the whole image, the given image, the default point, and over top. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now all of the calls to images are within threshold need to take a background color. Okay. BG. You need to take a background color. And then you need a background color, which also is going to get passed in. BG is get background Maybe. Oh, 'cause I'm looking at this right now and I'm saying, if somebody passes in a background, that's what we should use. Otherwise, we should use the current background. Alright, so there's a current background, which is a color, and current background is debug, probably render test actually, render test dot get current background color, and then expected background is get background from args of expected. If it's not in there, expected is expected plus background color of current background. Right? If not equal to okay, yeah, if not okay. We don't need a render test get current background. Under render test colors, func get current background returns a color. Maybe color is not what we want to return, but for now it is. GL dot it's this. The old clear is that we get that, and when it's got to be a 4 float. Get current background, yeah. And then if we want, we can get current background as color. So the old clear is just 4 floats. We get it from GL and return it. Okay. So the old clear is get current background. And then get current background color. I will use OR instead of OUR because it's this color. Old clear is get current background, and then we're going to transform that into a color. Return color of our old clear at 0. Now these are floats. We need to say map that to a byte. Norm color to byte. Right, and then normalized color to byte, takes a f, which is a float 32, and returns a uint 8. Return uint 8 of f times 255. If f less than 0, panic, or f greater than 1, panic, non-normalized, float. Don't do it. Oh, color.rgba. And we'll actually say it's an RGBA instead of a color. Yep. And then we're in the render test package, we don't need to say. Yeah. And then what should be the default? The default should be black. And get background from args. We'll know that. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so the threshold, we did this trick with thresholds and test numbers. We're going to do it again with background color. So background color is actually a color. And the default background is color.rgba of red is 0, green is 0, blue is 255, alpha is 255. No, the default should be black. Default background is an opaque black. Yeah, and then threshold from args was something that we did, right? Get threshold from args. Get background from args. Slice of interface. We return a background color. Why do we only look at one? We don't test from args. Okay. We should probably do that and then Why start at second element? We should test this. But for now, we're in green mode. We be committing heresy. If thou found args at I is actually a background color, return it. Otherwise, return default background. Ugh. You're right, it's not defined. There. What's broken now? Background color. Oh, yeah, it is exported. Adar. Oh, return val true, return val false. Because if somebody passes it in, that's when we overwrite it. Otherwise, we don't overwrite it. Yeah. Yep, you need a background. Okay, so the background is what? Here. Blue. Color.rgda. This is a red is 0, green is 0, blue is 255, alpha is 255. What? Sure would look like file. String. Images are within threshold, needs a color. Use blue here. Um, it's not a .color, it's a .rgba. Da, 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 173. Yeah, okay. So use a background that is transparent. Use a transparent background for the sake of the comparison. Let's just clean the rejects first, and then see if... Yeah, okay. Yeah, it's blue. Do need an open brace here, or parenthesis. Render test dot background color. Y'all. Just
with each day that passes, it still feels the same. You thought that you'd be better now, but here you are again. There's nothing you can do, and nothing I can say. As you step into tomorrow, it feels just like yesterday. But don't cry tonight.
saying we got pixel mismatch there.
There's no use in pretending. You're living in the shadow of a memory.
Now, it should look like file, given an image. Image should look like, right? Now, we look for the background. Ah. This should be a background color of color.rgba of transparent. Yeah. BG is found BG is get background from args expected, and then if we didn't find it, we add it. The 0 value is transparent. Then we just use that. Test fresh. Test fresh removes all the rejection files and then runs the test. Look at that. Beautiful. Texture test doesn't need to pass. Sorry, texture test does need to pass a blue. Right? Line 236 ish. Yeah. Now, with clear color passes in GL clamp Fs. Images are within threshold passes in a color. I think I'm going to leave it that way. Do I need to say comma underscore when I call get background from args? Yeah, I do. That's fine. That's fine. Flumped all the things. Make it a test. Make list rejects. Nice. Going from the bottom up. Render test colors can now get the current background and get the current background color. I don't think we need to expose this, do we? Let's see. Nope, we don't need to expose it, so let's not expose it. So now instead of with clear color doing its own GL get, like the diff is broken, but instead of this one doing the GL get, we extract that to a helper. We use that here and here. Here we convert it to a color.rgba, which is just a, convert the float to from 0 to 1 to be in the range 0 to 255, so linearly. I don't know if a linear color change like that is exactly correct, but let's not worry about it for now. If the tests fail, they fail, and that's when we'll fix it. Right now they're passing, and looking at this, We don't need to specify, we can just use a transparent there. I'm just gonna call it out like that. Color dot. Yeah. We also want to say like result is render test dot images are within threshold LHS RHS render test dot threshold. You know, give it 5 delta, but don't give it a background, and say that it better be false. We do need to give it a background. Color black is color.rgba R0 G0 blue is 0 and alpha is not 0 but 255, right? And then we'll use black here. Do we have access to default background? Default. Nah, we don't. Okay, that's fine. We'll just use black. That should still be green, right? Yeah. So not only do we assert that we will use the transparency properly, not only do we assert that we will use the transparency, we assert that if we don't, that there is a mismatch. Yeah. It only matches because we have told it to be transparent. Good. So now whenever we say that, hey, whatever the screenshot was should look like some file, we look for a specific background. If somebody passed it, we let them pass it. If they didn't pass it, we say, actually, use a transparent background. Do we want to test about when someone says like a convey.so of something? No, I think we already test that we look for it, and testing that convey passes it along is really a test of convey, not a test of our code. So we don't need to worry about it. Alright, I think this is good enough. Pumped it if we have to. Debug and render. Commit. This is a fix. Respect transparency in expectation images. Yeah. Okay, need a quick break. Be right back. what's next? Let's look at our to-do here. That's kind of sort of what we just did. So let's update glop in haunts. Run the tests. Now, in haunts, do we have a list regex? We don't. I want it. It's handy for doing this. Okay. So, whatever we called is mistakenly expecting the background to be drawn. Right? Hold on. Let me make sure make sure we're using the right glop. We're not. Okay. What? Oh! Okay. Git checkout main. Git merge ff only whip. Git branch delete whip. Git push origin head. Git push origin destroy the whip. Now if we do an update glop. Yeah. See, this is actually taking longer, which is what I expected from last time. Okay. So now we can make test. How much of what is broken? Okay, so I think this is a difference not in the background, but in the actual pixel values. What's a good way to test, or at least verify that? Let's take a screenshot. Yeah. These. And then... there. And then... take another screenshot. And paste. So now, if we look at this, these pixels should match these exactly. Right? But they don't. There's a border here. There's no border here. Or is there? Hold on. Might have not. I didn't line them up proper. That looks like white. And then if we take a text drop from here, it's not white. See that? Okay, so this blended with the black background? must go deeper. Paint, I don't think, is the right tool for this. What am I trying to do? I'm trying to see... what is the pixel value at that point? Paint might work if we actually upload the thing. Home, team key, workspace, haunts, house, test data, cobweb, 0. Okay, so if we look at this, yeah. See, I think this has transparency, right? And so when we blit it onto a onto a black background, it grays it up a bit instead of just being white. Okay, let's, to verify our understanding, full texture test. If we say that it should look like cobweb with a black background, undeclared imported name. Are you sure about that? Oh. What are we doing here? We're saying that dumping the texture looks like the file. Yeah. 184, it's saying. Yeah. I want to clean the rejects. Find machine star reg. Don't I have like a fresh? No, I don't. my understanding is that since we're using the new glop, 3886, 3886, that when we run this, render test should look like file. We see that render, that actual is a render queue interface, so the back buffer should look like the given image. And then we read all the pixels and we get the current background, and we say, maybe they passed a background. If they did, that's great. If not, set the background to the current background. Current background should be black. And then the image should look like each other, given that the background is black. So we should have got expect pixels mismatch called with black. Make dev test is make test, but use the glop that's on disk, not the one pinned in go.mod. So if I go back to glop and say back buffer should look like, image should look like, we should get a log.debug logger log.debug BG. And we should be able to say test run args is -v-run test wall texture specs, just to get only the things we care about. We should see BG somewhere. Message BG 000255. Okay. So the actual image was a screenshot. No. That image should look like is expecting pixels to match given a black background. So we're like, okay, open the expected file, read it. Let's find out if they're within the threshold for the given background. Do a size check, sure, fine. The LHS should be redraw it as RGBA with background black. So we're like, okay, there's a new background and it's black. And then draw over. Should work. Okay, is this a problem in haunts or is this a problem in glop? Let's add a test in glop that this comparison does what we think it should does. What we think it should does? This comparison does what we think it should. Okay. So, if we look at the test, it should be that So, you know, draw everything as black. This is blue. Well then, hold on. This should still work. This makes me think that the problem is in haunts and not in WAP. It could be that there's a border problem? A size problem? This says 266 by 246. What are the bounds of... Wait, what? Couldn't write rejection file. 0.rejection.ping as an invalid format. So the size of 0 is 0. What? That's not good. 173. So the PNG image should look like a file called Cobweb. Yeah. But expect pixels match failed. And then when we went to write the hold on. What? Size mismatch. We expected an empty image. That doesn't seem right. Where's test comp line 88? Material 3. Oh, we're passing the... Okay, where do we call should look like file? Okay, so some image that we dump textured should look like cobweb. But there was a size mismatch. No. This shouldn't be transparent. This should be black. Yeah, and now there's a size mismatch. Actual image looked empty. It's saying we're getting an empty thing. T.log EG image size mod B log F EG image dot bounce. Do I need a /n? Let's put one. Who cares? Test run args is -v and -run test wall texture specs. Why did you get nothing? Because texture width, texture height. Whoa! Width times 4. Oh, no, yeah. Sorry. Yeah, we only need width times 4 bytes for one row. Um, is it not loaded? It's loaded. Right? Texture.data. Texture 1. X1. Data dx266 dy246. Yeah. Okay. It's weird and not correct. I'm getting hungry. I'm gonna get some lunch. Be right back. right? That should be true. What? Don't worry. This doesn't work.
Which way do you want to go? Gonna take you high, gonna take you low, gonna take you high, gonna take you where you wanna go. So ravers, let me know. Which way do you wanna go? Gonna take you high, gonna take you low, gonna take you high, gonna take you where you wanna go. So ravers, let me know. Which way do you wanna go? Gonna take you where you wanna go. 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 Gonna take you where you wanna go.
Hmm.
Ravers, come on!
Well, that's messed up. Why would we get 0?
Which way do you wanna go?
The heck? Um, well, yeah, it wouldn't print anything right now because we're logging and clearing here. Why does this Why is this greater than 0? This ends up being 266 by 246, but this gets 0 by 0. Moreover, we see this message, so we know that the debug logger is good enough. What the heck? Hold on. Get the bound texture size. Get text level parameter. Texture width. The target is GL texture 2D. No. Level 0. Parameter name. Texture width, texture height. See, these are all constant for across different levels of the same texture. But a specific level will have a width and a height. What else can we get? Width, height, depth, internal format, border, red, green, blue, alpha size, luminance size, texture intensity size. Now hold on. This was like one of them, what you call, gray textures. If it was luminance alpha, does that change things?
Identifying that there is in fact a divine intelligence is different from knowing that you already possess it as pure energy love.
We do enable texture.2D. Um,
Into a sea of love and adventure that we can only imagine.
width and height. dx, dy.
It's as profound as looking at life and death, and birth and letting go.
We done did
Identifying
that.
that there is in fact a divine intelligence is different from knowing that you already possess it as pure energy love. It's as profound as looking at life and death, and birth and letting go, into a sea of love and adventure.
The only thing I can think of is that we're not running what we think we're running because convey.
For in the end, it is only our personal subjective experience that holds any power.
What? Oh, whoa. Some of the stuff has to be on the queue here. Yeah, we need to queue this. Queue.queue. Oh. Um. They took away widths and heights of my texture. What? Okay, I think I'm about done for today. Things running on not the render thread, calling GL things, needs to fail. Apart from things are complicated enough as is, like, it's just not an apples to apples comparison when this runs on Q1 versus Q2, thread 1 versus thread 2. Because OpenGL has thread local state. I want the type system to enforce this for me. And really, it's a render queue state needs to expose like a GL handle, and all things need to happen through a GL handle instead of the package GL dot do thing. It should be GL object dot do thing that forwards to the package, but you only get to handle that object from render queue state. That's a very big refactor. And too big of a refactor to do in the red state, and certainly too big of a refactor to do while my brain is melting like this. So, while it's very frustrating that these sizes are different, and we only saw that now that we're actually calling GL things on a GL thread or on a render queue thread, we at least, I think, fixed this to actually respect transparency in the underlying expectation or expected image. which is a good step forward and should make it easier to make progress later. But yeah, for now, thanks so much for watching. Hope to see you again next time.